Welcome to Tech Tuesday on the Final Boss podcast, where innovation meets attitude, and the future gets decoded one byte at a time. I'm your host, Turbo the CEO, and your co-host, Mike Foth. And today we're diving deep into the tech trenches to uncover the tools, trends, and truths shaping tomorrow. Whether you're a code slinger, gadget geek, or just tech curious, this is your weekly power-up. So grab your controller, plug in, and let's level up.
Good evening. Good evening. This is Big Mike, the Sensei. We're doing episode number 170, covering the weekend off grid. A small step out of the machine. And why am I running solo today? Well, before we get into today's topic, I just want to say something up front. I'm running solo today, not because the format has changed, not because anything's wrong, but this is just one of those subjects that actually works better without interruption. Some conversations benefit from the back and forth energy. Others need space to breathe. And this one's about space. It's about slowing things down enough to notice what's normally drowned out. So, if today feels quieter, more deliberate, that's intentional. I'd even encourage you, if you can, to slow down while you're listening. Don't treat this like background noise. Let it sit in the foreground. Sometimes the absence of noise is the message. Some ideas don't need dialogue, they need room. So before we go any further, I want to restate how we approach topics here because it does matter. On this show, we study the machine. We don't argue with the decorations. That means we focus on systems, incentives, and enforcement, not symbolism, not theater, not surface level distractions. And today's topic fits that approach exactly. Because stepping off grid, even briefly, isn't about escaping the system. It's about understanding it by stepping outside it long enough to see how it actually runs. You can't study dependence while you're immersed in it. It just doesn't work. You can't see the trees for the forest. You cannot access a system you've never stepped away from. So think of this episode as an introduction to what I'm going to call a contrast weekend. Not escape, not rebellion, just calibrated contrast. We step away briefly so we can see clearly. You can't understand a system until you've felt its absence. Think about that. Let that sink in for a moment. So, to start off with this interesting subject, which does have to do with tech and fits into Tech Tuesday because part of tech is knowing how we integrate with tech. So, the term off grid, that triggers people. When most people hear that phrase off grid, I mean, their minds jump straight to the extremes, thinking bunkers, generators, stockpiles. You're thinking all of the movies that you watch, the post apocalyptic zombies coming. I mean, that's what you think of when you think off grid. Survival channels that you watch yelling about collapse and the world is going to end. That's what you think about. A lot of people think about when they think off grid. And that reaction alone tells you something important because the idea of being without modern systems for just 48 hours should not feel radical. But for most people, it does. And that tells you how embedded these systems are, not just practically, but emotionally. Not just practically, but emotionally. Hmm. Most of us live inside constant input, constant. It never ends. From the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. Okay? Notifications, schedules, all these beeps, your phone constantly going off, artificial urgency layered so tightly that everything feels important and nothing feels clear. And as you're listening, ask yourself this. When was the last time you went 24 to 48 hours, just 24 hours, without notifications deciding what mattered next? Not vacation scrolling, not do not disturb, but still checking, actually off. And if you do tech and you use technology and you go on vacation, what do? Constantly looking at your phone, still working those work emails. Doesn't matter. You're still looking. You're still responding to it. So if that question makes you uncomfortable, that's not a flaw. That's information. That's data. That's something you need to learn and know because you need to understand that if you feel uncomfortable about something, there's a reason why. It's the reason why you feel uncomfortable. A weekend off grid isn't about rejecting technology. It's about creating contrast. Look, if 2 days without systems feel extreme, the system's already inside of you. It's already part of you. It's like a bad habit. It's like being an alcoholic. You can't go 1 day without a drink. Is it like that? Does it control you or do you control it? So, in talking about this off grid and what it means emotionally, and we've acknowledged that reaction. So, let's define the term properly because off grid, it carries baggage. It doesn't deserve. It's a bad rap. And we don't need to have a bad rap over something as simple as unplugging for a little bit, right? So, for the purpose of this conversation, off grid does not mean disappearing from society. It does not mean rejecting technology. And does not mean fear based isolation or deprivation. Off grid here simply means temporarily stepping away from non essential systems. The always on internet, constant notifications, the infinite entertainment loops. I mean, artificial urgency is created by feeds and schedules. How many times do you, when you're in public, see people that are constantly in their phone? And sometimes maybe you find yourself constantly being in your phone. Even while you're watching a TV show, are you still looking at your phone? So, what's happened? You have the infinite entertainment loop, the artificial urgency. It just never ends. I mean, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. And look, you're not removing safety by stepping away, and you're not removing comfort. So you're just removing the constant input. That's it. Okay? That's all we're talking about here. I mean, we're not saying you have to go live out under the stars while it's snowing and try and build an igloo. Come on, you know, you can still have shelter. You can still have food you like. You still have water, light, and even have your phone charged for emergencies. This is a contrast weekend, not deprivation. Off grid doesn't mean unplugged from life. It just means being unplugged from the noise. The noise is what we're talking about. I mean, why would you think that a weekend is the perfect amount of time? Think about it. You say, well, how can that really make a difference in my life? A weekend, 2 days. How's it possible? I mean, is a weekend really enough? And actually, it is. And that's exactly why it works. Anything longer becomes a statement. A week becomes a lifestyle experiment. A month becomes an identity. A weekend just stays honest, just enough. Like not too little, not too much, just enough. Look, Friday night, you're still wired. You've been at it all week long. Your body is still moving at the weekday speed. You reach for your phone just out of habit because it's just there all week long, day in, day out. So look, the first time I did this, and yes, I've actually done this. Saturday afternoon, I caught myself standing there with my phone in my hand, just looking at it, wondering, what am I doing? I mean, that moment told me everything I needed to know. It's like a wake-up call. Why am I doing this? Look, when you do this weekend, Saturday morning, your restlessness is going to show up. But by Saturday night, something's going to cut loose. And Sunday morning, that's the moment that matters. That's when people realize, oh, this is what calm actually feels like. Not excitement, not entertainment, just baseline. Okay, that's the contrast weekend doing its job. You don't need collapse to learn. You need contrast. Look, you can't see the trees because of the forest, but you can't see the forest because of the trees. Contrast. You have to move away. You can't see the donut hole because of the donut. You can't see the donut because of the donut hole. You need contrast. So now that we know that we have to get this contrast to get this 2 day window, you start to think, well, how can I accomplish this? Or what's the next piece of this to make it so that it works? And this is location and why boring is better. Because this is where people will sabotage themselves. Look, they want the story, they want the photo. They're going to go out in the woods and spend a couple of days in the woods. What are they going to do? They're going to be out there taking a bunch of pictures. Oh, I got away for the weekend. No, you didn't. You've been on your phone the whole time. They want the bragging rights. How remote can I go? How hardcore can this be? I mean, it's your ego talking. And if you're worried about wildlife, weather, or breakdowns, your brain can never relax. It just can't. Stand by. Fire? Stand by. I may have an emergency. I shall be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for the brief interruption. Mike, the sensei, has a emergency and he shall return as soon as possible. Please stay with us. Please stay with us. And, you know, these things happen. And when they do, you have to respond. And this is why it's important to let you guys know that our shows are live. It's authentic. And when an emergency happens, you have to respond. And that's exactly what is happening right now. So give him a few moments. Tonight is all him. I am knee deep in homework because school has restarted. I know that's not an excuse for me not to be here, but we had already planned for this particular episode to be a solo episode. And you're going to see more of those throughout as I'm building this network of final bosses. And anyone who's interested in having their own show on the Final Boss Podcast, Final Boss Network, Final Boss Community, Final Boss Nation, listen, shoot me an email at info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's INFO at thefinalbosspodcast.com. And I will, and you state your case. You state your case why you should be a thought leader on this platform. And you will be vetted. You will be vetted. But if you pass the vet process, you too can have your own episode on the Final Boss Podcast. Or you may be able to construct your own season. Who knows? There's 24 hours in the day. I myself, including the Tech Tuesday show, that's only 5 days a week. I'm only on 1 hour of those 5 days. There's 24 hours in a day. So that's potentially 19 slots for more episodes. Think about it. Think about having the Final Boss Network with nothing but thought leaders, people who are providing essential and profound information and providing a knowledge base that's teachable, that you will learn for an entire day, right? That's what we're building here. We're building a community. We're building the Final Boss Nation, the Final Boss Network. So with that being said, I am going to step away. Those are my moments for the evening. Think of it as an infomercial, right? Think of it as an infomercial. You guys enjoy the rest of the show. I'm sure the sensei will be back very soon. But, you know, why not stay on until he comes back, right? Why not stay on until he comes back, right? Now, don't you go nowhere. Yes, you. Don't you go nowhere. Y'all have any questions? Ask away. This is the moment to ask away any questions you may have, any comments that you may like to drop in the chat. Go ahead. Ask away right now. Ask away. Now, if you're just now joining us, tonight is a solo show for the sensei, but it looks like he had an emergency to go take care of, right? So we're just waiting for him to come back onto the live, right? Y'all have no questions, really? Come on, final bosses. Come on, smarts. Come on, motivators, warriors. Where are the questions at, guys? Ask. Don't be afraid. Listen, I promise not to kill you with word salad. This is your moment. This is your time. Let's talk frank, right? Let's be frank with one another real quick while we wait on the sensei. And while we're doing that, I'm doing homework. So this is the moment for you to ask away, man. Ask any questions that you may have of me, of the show, of the platform. Oh, go get Go Time. Go get Go Time, man. Listen, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna use this moment. I hope he's okay. Also, I'll probably give him a call in a few. Give me a second. I'm back. Look, go get go time, baby. Go get go time. Listen, this is your motivation workbook. It is what you need, especially in these most difficult times, right? You want to get out of the water. You want to get your head above water, right? The 6 pillars of success principle is in here. This is how you do it, right? 6 pillars of success will get you out of the water, get you above the water. If you've been doing the same thing your entire life and you still don't have any success, it's time for a change. It's time for you to say, you know what? I'm not the expert here. Let me go get the information from the experts. And I'm not calling myself an expert, but what I'm telling you is that what you've been doing hasn't gotten you the success that you've been wanting or striving for, I'm sorry. The 6 principles of success, followed by the cornerstone of magnificence. Then followed by that with the momentum code, right? But it's all useless if you don't know your why. But see, that's where it starts. It starts with your why and identifying your why. And once you identify your why, you discover your why, then you can go into the 6 pillars of success. Look, I see you leaving. Look, we're just waiting on the sensei. Stay right there. Stay right there. He'll be back shortly. I'm getting ready to check in with him momentarily to make sure that everything's okay. Look, stop leaving. I see you leaving. What are you leaving for? Come on back. He's coming back. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, give it up for you for coming back. Thank you so much. Let me check him out, man. Make sure he's good. You guys give me a second. Okay, Sensei did not answer, so I'm getting a little concerned. I'm gonna try calling back in a few, but you guys stay there. He'll be back. He will be back. Y'all give some prayers out, man. Some prayers out to the sensei. We don't know what's going on in the background, but hopefully all is well. And yeah, pray for the good sensei. He'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Listen, I do apologize. The sensei is taking care of an emergency situation, and I don't know if he's coming back, but we're still live. And in these moments, through all of its authenticity, there's moments like this that happen. You have to take care of family, you have to take care of emergency situations, and you have to be prepared. And right now, I am prepared to continue the show for the next 30 minutes. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate each and every last single one of you. Look, man. You got to improvise. In these moments, you have to improvise. The show must go on. The product must continue. And with that being said, thank you for being here. Look, I appreciate each and every last single one of you. Thank you for not leaving. Look, man, he started out the show talking about some very, very informative things about stepping away from your devices, right? And stepping away from the noise. And look, man, I want to elaborate on exactly what he was discussing. And hold on, let me get rid of he has returned. So hey, man.
That was fun. Molly told me fire, 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 so I ran for fire, fire, fire.
Yeah,
there was in the back piece of the property was a piece of brush that had caught fire. I had to go put it out before it got out of control. So I was hustling. I had to put out a fire. Literally had to put out a fire.
Man.
Goodness gracious.
Good. Yeah, blessings, man. Blessings.
That was something.
Yeah,
You know what? You have to be able to. You got to be able to react. Improvise.
Absolutely.
And when real world emergencies happen, you deal with it.
Yep. The training kicks in, and we've been trained for all walks of life. We've been trained in, man. So
that's right. So hey, I'll get back on it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you get back on it. I gotta get back to it, man.
Go on. I got this.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good knock them dead.
All right. So that was entertaining. My goodness. Well, when your wife comes and says fire, 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 you know that it's legit. So we left off with getting out and getting away, okay? And we said we don't want to be worried about wildlife, weather breakdowns, etc., right? You want to manage your risk. So if you can't manage your risk, you can't reflect, you can't chill out. So your right location is intentionally boring. So some good examples of that would be like a state park, private land near a town. You're close, but you're not too close. Maybe a quiet campground. Look, close enough that help exists, but far enough away that routine falls away. It's not a survival test. You're not trying to be, the last man standing. It's just, this is for you to unplug your technology and just kind of breathe for a minute. Look, it's another way the contrast weekend lowers the noise floor so that insight can show up. Insight starts where vigilance ends, okay? So when you don't have to be hyper vigilant and worried about what's happening in the next 2 seconds, you can look, you can think, you can relax. So part of this, when you go somewhere, is what's next? Shelter. So let's talk about shelter. We're not talking about some idolized camping image. We're not talking about clamping either, okay? We're talking about the thing that lets your body stand down. Look, I've tried the tough version. I've done the one where I've slept out with a poncho liner, and that's it. On the hard floor, cold night, mosquitoes, bad sleep. And when you don't get rest, you're not getting rest like that. That's just uncomfortable. Shelter doesn't mean that you're negotiating with your comfort. You should not negotiate comfort. It should be a given. You should not worry about the rain or the temperature or heck, even the snow. It depends on where you're going. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Shelter means you're chilling. You got a tent, you got a trailer. You can even do this in a vehicle setup. I've done camping with my wife in the back of a little S10 Blazer. It was fun. It was entertaining. I don't want to do it a lot, but we did. It didn't kill us. It was fine. Look, you can get a cabin. There's a lot of cabins out there. Some people rent yurts, or you can get a yurt. But if you're going to do an RV, make sure the noise is turned off. Don't have the satellite TV going. You know, try and make it so that you're not wanting to use the technology. Look, the common thread isn't toughness, it's trust. When your body trusts the environment, your mind finally has room. Your mind can, okay, we're safe, we can chill. Shelter isn't about survival, it's about permission to rest. Think about that. It's about permission to rest. When you're not worried about survival, your mind can rest. So once you get to that point where you, okay, I can give myself rest, what do you do when you're off grid? So this is the question that most people don't know how to ask because they're like, all I do is technology. So what do I do out there? What do I even do? What's there to do? And the honest answer is less than you think and more than you expect. Look, you wake up without the alarm. You make food without rushing. And you definitely sit more than you're used to. If the idea of unstructured time makes you uncomfortable, meaning planned nothing, notice that. Think about that. That discomfort is the muscle this contrast weekend is in training. That's what is training, that discomfort. Some people will bring a book, but they'll barely read it. Some journal for 10 minutes and stop. And some just stare at the sky longer than feels reasonable. That's not wasted time. That's the work. You can't go off grid to stay busy. You go to stop being managed. You plan on doing nothing. Take a moment to just enjoy the scenery where you are, the trees, the ground. If there's a river nearby, just enjoy life. So once you get to the point where you say, okay, I'm not going to be doing all these crazy things, but you do need to eat. You're not planning on making it a tough weekend that you hate because you were starving the whole time. But this is where people overcomplicate things the fastest. They turn to a project. They buy new gear, they got new recipes, they want to cook off grid, they got all these things, these big plans, and then they're hungry and irritated. Look, bring food that you already eat. Familiar food stabilizes when everything else changes. Familiar food stabilizes you when everything else changes. Food should fade into the background so you don't even pay attention to it. Now your attention can come forward. Food should fuel the experience, not become it. Don't make the whole weekend about cooking. Okay? That's not what it's all about. Because then you're spending your entire time super hyper focused on cooking, cooking, cooking. Gotta cook, gotta do this. I got all this I gotta do. You're not taking the time to unwind. You're taking the time to make yourself busier than you should be. This is why it's unplugging. Remember also water. Water is always underestimated because dehydration isn't dramatic. It whispers. It gives you a headache. You get irritated and you get mental fog. A lot of bad moods are just thirst in disguise. So bring more water than you think you'll need. Think about that. Most bad moods are just thirst in disguise. Talking about that, I am going to have a drink of water. Mm. See that? I want to fix my potential bad mood. So the next thing we want to talk about is power. Why a little security helps. You don't need power, but a small battery pack improves the mental noise. It improves it and removes it. The reason why it does is because it's psychological insurance. It's like a spare tire. I mean, the goal isn't to be pure. The goal is calm. So security doesn't weaken resilience, it enables it. Now comes the real withdrawal. So what we've done is we've talked about where you're going to go, that you're going to have food, you're going to have water, you're going to have shelter. So all the basics are taken care of. And you're going to do less. So now we talk about the real withdrawal, the hard part, technology. This is the hardest part because people are going to reach for their phone without thinking. And at that moment, when your hand moves automatically to find your phone, that's the lesson. You don't have to fix it, just notice it. Awareness is the win. You just want to be aware of, oh, I'm unplugged. Why am I reaching for my phone? Just be aware. What moves you without thought already owns you. So if you're moving for your phone without thinking about it, it owns you. You don't own it. So when you start doing this, you're going to notice something. That time feels different. Time doesn't slow down, but the interruptions stop, the minutes widen, your thoughts can finish. And that's how you know contrast weekend took hold. Time didn't change, your attention did. So in order for this to all come together, you do need to do some planning. But the way to plan for a good experience is understand that planning isn't about eliminating risk. It's about removing friction. Where do I sleep comfortably? What will I eat without a lot of effort? What will I do when my mind gets restless? So you want to plan enough so that nothing competes for your attention, but you don't want to overplan because if you overplan and overcomplicate, now you have busy work. And now you're so busy with the plan, your mind doesn't get a chance to relax because the plan is constantly now replacing what your phone was doing. Your plan gets overcomplicated and your mind just can't stop thinking about the plan. So you want your plan to be as little as you can get away with. Just remember, the best plan is the one that frees your mind. So now we've got the plan. Now what are we going to bring? But we're not going to do a survival checklist. Think of it as instead of things, think of it as roles, not items. Think of it as in a role. Comfort, that's a role. Fuel, that's a role. Light, that's a role. Not a thing. Margin, something analog. So for me, it's usually something like a beat up notebook and a pen. Something that doesn't matter if I scribble with it. I can pull a piece of paper out of it and light it on fire and start my fire if I want. I mean, it's just something that I really don't mind, but if I feel like scribbling and drawing, then I can scribble and draw. If I feel like scribbling and drawing and then throw it in the fire, then I can scribble and draw and throw it in the fire. So if it doesn't reduce your stress, increase your comfort, or support reflection, leave it. Bring what removes stress, leave what creates it. Now think about that. That's the way to plan. That's the way to plan for what to take with you. Bring what removes stress, leave what creates it. So you say, okay, I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm gonna go out. I'm going to really try to let my mind achieve this peace, this undisturbed boredom, so to speak. So what do you bring back from this experience? And think about it, it's not a very long experience. Okay? So you're leaving on Friday, you got all day Saturday, Saturday night, Sunday, and you come back. You don't come back transformed, you come back aware, quieter, clearer. less reactive. Think about that. Less reactive. So you might notice on a Monday morning when an email comes in, just for a moment, you don't react, you choose. That's how you know the contrast weekend stuck. Clarity arrives quietly, but it stays. All you're trying to do is give yourself the ability to see that yes, these devices are controlling. Yes, they demand my attention, but I can see that I can live without that constant interaction. That's the goal of the weekend. So, why does this matter? I mean, it matters because when was the last time you can remember that you didn't have your phone on you 24/7, that you were able to just go and do something that had no technology involved with it at all, something analog, and you weren't worried about what you had to do when you got back? Boredom is probably one of the best training materials for a mind because with boredom comes imagination. If you're bored, you figure out things to do. I mean, I remember as a kid when we went outside and we had nothing to do, we found something to do. Now we got in trouble, we did stuff, but we made up games. We played cops and robbers. We played hide and seek. We did all kinds of things. We made forts. I mean, my God, that's something that the kids nowadays even get a chance to do. They're stuck inside all the time. So if you've got children, this experience could be a little more challenging. But at the same time, if you take your kids with you and teach them the same experience of we're going to unplug, we're going to play, we're going to be bored, we're going to do whatever that doesn't require us to be constantly distracted. I've been through some really interesting things, and one that really sticks in my mind is I was headed to a restaurant with my wife, and as we got out of the car and we were walking towards the restaurant, and there was traffic in the parking lot, and we saw a family get out of their vehicle, and as they were walking towards the door of the restaurant, every single one of them was in their phone. They didn't even look around to see if they were going to get run over by a car. They were just so into their devices that they didn't even talk to each other. They didn't interact with each other. They just had nose down and were walking in. And that really stuck with me. And we talk about it. My wife and I talk about it because it was such a testament of how people are living nowadays. You sit in a restaurant and look around and you see all these kids in devices. You see all these people in devices. They're not enjoying themselves. They're not enjoying the experience of being at a restaurant and having a nice meal together and having conversation. They're hung up in their devices and scrolling and letting their mind become mush. And it happens because it's addicting. And again, if you want to have an idea of why it occurs, you can take a look at the Netflix documentary that was created where it's called The Social Dilemma. And this talks about why this happens and why it's designed for that. And so ask yourself this, why does this matter for tech? Being this is Tech Tuesday, and we talk all things tech, and we go pretty deep quite a bit. So why does this matter for tech? You would think that by us having this conversation and talking about this subject, you would think that I would think, well, tech is the enemy. we shouldn't be having tech. No, technology isn't the enemy. It's a tool. But any tool should be removable. You use your tools. When you're done with them, you put them away. Your tools should not become part of you, part of your identity, part of who you are. It's a tool. If your tool becomes part of who you are as an identity, and your identity depends upon it, then you may have a problem. And stepping away can potentially at least show you the possibility of what life looks like without tech. And should you even plan for these getaway weekends just as a training exercise, if you want to call it? Because what happens if the electricity goes out? You have a hurricane, you have a snowstorm, a windstorm, a tornado comes through, and your tech is out. If you've never been without your tech and the power goes out, you might have a panic attack. But if you've spent some of these weekends learning how to disassociate yourself from your tech for a little bit, then when you do have one of those natural emergencies happen, those natural disasters, then it's not such a big deal to you because you already have an idea. This is what it feels like. I'm good with this. I know what to do. Take care of the required items, which is your shelter, your food, your water. Take care of those things, of course. But then once that you're done taking care of those things, you already understand that your mind is allowed to relax. So even if you do have a natural disaster occur that takes your power out for a little while, you can make it. You can survive. The contrast weekend is a test. And if stepping away causes anxiety, I mean, it's just not a tool anymore. A tool without an on-off switch eventually becomes the switch. Think about how bad that means. My goodness. It's just makes me just think when I was a kid growing up that we didn't have tech. And I try and compare that to the children nowadays who've never been without tech. They have a term for them. They call them linkers. These kids are linked from birth. And if they don't learn things like going outside to play, then what kind of experiences are they going to have in this life? What are they going to grow up to become? And what kind of legacy are you passing on to your children? That's it's something to really think about and put some time and effort into because it's something that matters. Look, this experience, this weekend is not about escape. It's about perspective. You're not escaping your emails. They're still going to be there when you get back on Monday. It's about perspective. It's about looking inside and saying, hey, how does this system actually work? 2 days. It's enough distance to see how the system actually runs. Does it run you or do you run it? You're not going to abandon the machine because we need it. For many of us, it's part of our livelihood, it's part of our job, it's part of how we stay in contact with our friends and family. It's important and it has a good place. It has a good, valuable tool. So we're not going to abandon it. Now, there are people that will because they realize, well, this has too much of a hold on me, and they may be like a drug addict or an alcoholic that says, I know that this is a problem for me that I can't control, and so therefore the only control I have is to completely remove myself from it. That might be the case for some people. But that's okay because if you can at least identify that there's a problem, then you have a chance of potentially solving it. And to step away just long enough, just long enough to see some clarity. That's the whole point. Take care of your necessities, the parts that matter, but don't touch the machine. Step back, recognize that there's more to life than that little screen that sits in front of you. There's more to life than answering all those emails that you're answering when you're not supposed to be working because you already do work and then you're still working on the nights and the weekends and you never stop working. So, do you ever get a chance to relax? Not really, because your mind is constantly focused on the next alert, the next deadline, the next schedule, the next meeting. And even when you go on vacation, I know a lot of people that they won't take vacations. They don't like to take vacations because they feel that when they come back from a vacation, they never really got to rest because they didn't unplug. They didn't step away long enough or even step away. Again, how many people do you see if you ever go to uh, a vacation spot and you see people that have their phones in front of them all day, sitting by the pool, scrolling on their phone? They're not vacationing. They're not relaxing. They're just, they're vacation scrolling. They're being entertained by the device. And if they're going to do that, why are you even going to go on vacation? Why would you even waste your time and money to go on vacation if you're not going to go on vacation? You're just wasting your time, effort, and energy if you don't actually take advantage of your vacation time. Now, I'm the worst one because of what I do for a living. I'm terrible about it because I work on every holiday and every weekend. But that's based upon my profession. I can't fix servers when people are working on them. So I kind of put myself in that position. But also, I will take time to just do nothing. I will take time and try to do nothing. Not a lot, plan downtime. Sometimes it's just take a nap, just to let the mind stop. I've been told many times by my wife, if you're in the middle of a problem that you cannot solve, walk away from it. And if I walk away from it and let my mind just kind of think about something else for a while, I'll come back with a solution. And there's times where I've gone to bed not solving a problem and I wake up with the solution because you have to let your mind relax. You have to let your mind unwind. You can't be running at 100 miles an hour all day, every day. You got to get your foot off the gas pedal once in a while. So we're not planning on walking away from the machine or abandoning the machine. We just want to step away long enough to see how it runs, to see that it does control us. And so then when you look at it and you're being controlled by it, at least you know it. At least you know, yes, this is controlling me, but it's a choice. It's a choice at that point versus you can't help yourself. I mean, is one better than the other? I can't really tell you. Um, it just is what it is. But at least at that point, you can have some kind of awareness and you can see things for what they actually are instead of the virtual reality that we're being exposed to, because that's real. I mean, the whole world we live in is a can be considered a virtual reality because all of the exposure of what you're told and shown every day, the overloading of input. Would you ever get a chance to filter it? Do you ever get a chance to just stop getting input? When was the last time that you did have any input? Now, there are things that can cause that, absolutely. But when was the last time that for you it happened intentionally by design because you wanted it to? And that has power. That has power. Because if you want something to happen, you're the one in control. You're the one in the driver's seat. But if it just happens to you, then all you're doing is reacting. And it's a reactionary life, one that's fulfilling and rewarding, or is it the life that you choose that's fulfilling and rewarding? I prefer to be in control of my own destiny and not just react to it. But that's just me. That's just me. Oh, we got to the 1 hour mark. I don't know how long we were off during our, what do I call it, emergency. But when we get done, I have to go back out and check to make sure that the fire is still out because I don't want any surprises in the middle of the night that the backyard burns down. So we'll be dealing with that here just in a little bit. We'll see if Dwight's going to come back and close us out. But I will say one of the things that Dwight loves to say. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. There he is. Can't hear you, Dwight. Nope. There he is.
There he is. Boom. Hey, um, if you have more time, man, or you don't have to go,
I gotta go check on a fire.
okay, because I was gonna say, man, you have more content. There's 20 minutes of block space available.
Oh, that's what we died. We hit 20 minutes.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
up to you.
Well, I feel that we reached some real good things without digging into the little nitpicky stuff.
Okay.
And I think we had some real good insight
Awesome.
as to what to look for. You don't have to make it complicated.
Okay.
I think it can be a good thing.
Awesome, man. Well,
but I think I'm gonna go be a fireman.
Well, go be a fireman, man, and take care of those brush fires, man, and everything else. Give the beautiful missus a hug and my love, and thank you again. I know it was a great show. I can't wait to view it when I get a chance. Hopefully, sometime in the next 24 hours, I'll be able to look at it, man. But thank you again. Look, motivators, smarts, warriors, final bosses. This is the Final Boss Nation. This is the Final Boss community. This is the Final Boss podcast. And this is what we do. We provide the information and things that we believe you guys need to take you to the next level, right? To take you to the next level. But don't forget, man, we're on this journey together. We're on this journey together. That's what community is about, right? And the Sensei just provided you insight to enhance your journey, right? Words have power. Words have meaning, right? And Sensei, before you want to close out? You have any? Oh, you already closed out.
Good afternoon. Oh, good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. And good night. And I always like to say, look for the door.
Right. Look for the door, people. That is our show for tonight. And if you enjoyed the show, and of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe it, and share it with all your good people. At least 3 good people, man. 3 good people who you think is worthy of this information. Like again, if it resonated, let it marinate in your spine. And as always, there's always a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. We are here. I am here. And always be balanced, be equal, and be smart. This is the Final Boss Podcast, episode number 170 of Tech Tuesdays, right? You will see the Sensei more on some of his solo shows, man. It's a great thing to have a voice and a platform to be able to speak to our people in the community, right? Our people in the community. And if you are interested shoot us an email. You want to be a part of the Final Boss Podcast? Shoot us an email at info@thefinalbosspodcast. Of course, we will have to vet you, but you too can have your own segment. It's possible. Look, we only take up an hour each day. There's 24 hours in a day. Imagine the network where there are 24 different individuals daily doing their own segment. That's what we're building here in this community, the Final Boss Podcast, the Final Boss community. If you're interested in being part of the Final Boss Network, let us know. We're going to vet you, and we're going to vet you heavily. We're experts at this. This is what we do. But the opportunities are grand. Come on and be a part of the network. And for that, you guys have an amazing evening, a good night, and we will see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow for Merge Wednesdays at 9 p.m. live. And remember, each and every last show is live. As you can see, what happened today. Authenticity and reality.
Fire in the hole!
Fire in the hole! Y'all have a good night, man. And see you again tomorrow.